Hello, I'm student Travis Penigo, and this is my project on the worst film of all time. I wouldn't go to say that this is the worst film of all time because I haven't watched every single film, but every time someone turns this movie on, I want them to turn it off. So I would say that it's one of my least favorite. Um, I made a slide just to keep myself organized. Um, in what genre does this belong? Fantasy. Which follows with a lot of what the director does. I can't remember his name. I wasn't familiar with him before this, but it is very consistent in the genre and what he does. In my opinion, a good film is one accompanied by acting that can pull you into the film and leave you immersed. Like you forget that you're watching a movie, or it's so good that you just appreciate the acting. But in my opinion, there are many things that make a bad movie as well as a good movie, but those are one of the biggest things. It can be a really well written story, but if there's bad actors, it can just break the film completely. The film that I am doing is The Labyrinth. Some people may be upset with that. Um, the director of the film is Jim Henson, and the producer of the film is George Lucas. They've worked on a little bit together in the past, not very much. Jim Henson helped create the puppet for Yoda because he's worked on Muppets and stuff for a long time. So it kind of makes sense. How their work has been received? Both George Lucas and Jim Henson have had really good movies, critically acclaimed, and then others, so George Lucas, the prequel trilogy to the Star Wars, along with a bunch of other ones that I won't even get into. People despise them. I enjoy a couple. Just looking at a brief overview of Jim Henson's career, I can tell that there are a lot of films that people probably didn't enjoy. He's got a couple of films I've never even heard of. So that should tell you something. I mean, it's a lot of Muppet stuff. I'm pretty sure he created the Muppets. I'm not sure. I'm not going to lie. I was not familiar with his work before this. They both seem to work in fantasy quite a bit, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Muppets, which I guess would be considered fantasy, right? But I've got a couple of scenes here just to show you why I don't enjoy the film. Number one, the acting is horrible. The acting is horrible, not to mention the fact the over sexualization of a child. It's no amount of David Bowie singing can excuse the fact that he's literally hitting on a kid the whole movie. It's just really weird. Excuse this. And as the film gets older, the harder it gets to watch. The acting is dated, the music is dated. As much as some of it is enjoyable, it is extremely 80s. And the acting is horrible. I never already said that, but it really is. Even David Bowie, there are times where he acts, but he literally, it's seduction of a child, and it's just uncomfortable. It's one of the most uncomfortable parts of the film. But this is an example of some horrible acting on I can't even remember her name. I knew it earlier, but she just the inflection in her voice is pretty spot on, but her face is dead. The whole movie, it's just she's not there. It's she knows that she's getting paid to do this, and that's all that matters. Every once in a while, you get a smile or a tear out of her, but it just doesn't feel real. And I get it; it's a fantasy movie, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't act. Why I think it's the worst movie ever made. I won't go as far as that, but I will say that I don't enjoy it, and I think that it's a bad movie. I believe that this is one of the films that I've enjoyed the least out of watching. There are a couple of films that aren't even worth mentioning, but no, this is not the worst film of all time. It has its pros, but the cons seem to overshadow it. David Bowie is a great addition, and the music can be fun at times, but I cannot overlook the bad acting from all parties, David Bowie included. I mean, he's not an actor. He's not. He tried his hardest. It pulls me out of the world. That's her name. Jennifer Connelly is painful. It's super painful. She was young. I'll give her that. But the narrative itself seems to be pulled down by the era it was made. If someone made this movie today, I'm sure they could make it a lot better. they made it earlier, it would have been funnier. But like something about the '80s, man, it tainted everything that it touched. Where was I? Some movies can gain from the time that it was made, like Star Wars. You can give it a charm, but the simple fact of the matter is that the puppets and the doll can sometimes be a little much. And I've watched this twice, and each time I beg my friends to like find something else or just to turn it off. I'd rather sit in silence, to be honest. Thank you all, and let me know your opinions. I really want to know. I really want to know. Like, this isn't the worst film of all time, but it is definitely not a good one. Thank you all, and I hope to see what you say.